So, obligatory, I'm a new player myself. These are just my personal opinions and observations during my time playing Warhammer Online Return of Reckoning thus far. But these are questions I see a lot of new players asking in the advice channel, and people just asking me either in Discord or on social media, and I figured it'd be kind of cool to make a video discussing them. So the first big question I see a lot is, what should I play? What class should I play? What role should I play? And that's kind of a difficult question to answer. It really depends on the person. So let me pose a question to your question, which is, what do you normally play in MMORPGs, if you do play them in general? Because that's going to be a first big clue into what your play style is. If you normally play healers or tanks or DPS, then you'll probably gravitate towards that type of class anyways, and then you can kind of narrow down what you would like to play in Return of Reckoning. While there always is preferred classes or preferred roles, tanks and healers obviously tend to be more in demand, especially healers, because they're just necessary for you to do endgame and group content in general. But it doesn't really do you any good to make a healer if you don't enjoy healing, if you end up not liking the class and eventually quitting or playing something else, or you get to max level and you decide that you're going to DPS instead of heal, and then every group you join hates you. So really think about it and ask yourself, what do I like doing? Do I like being a tank? Do I like being a healer? If you don't normally play MMOs and you're not really familiar with that, look through the classes. Each class will have a little description on kind of what they do, how they operate, whether they're tank, healer, range DPS, melee DPS, and have a good idea of what would be the most fun for you to play. If you're more so into controlling the battlefield and keeping enemy attention on you and, being an asset to your group in a more supportive role, a tank is a really good option to play, because you have a lot of really cool tools at your disposal to control the flow of the battle and, guide the direction of your team and all that good stuff. If you like supporting but more as in the background role, healer's obviously great, keeping everybody alive, buffed, rezzing people. Rezzing people in Warhammer Online is a huge thing, because when you're in these deep keep and fort battles, you need your people there. You don't have a lot of time to be running back and forth every time people die. So getting people back into the fight as soon as possible is a huge thing. And in my time of playing, healers are always something that is needed and that groups are short on. So if you're looking for something specifically because you want to do group content and you enjoy support, then I'd definitely go healer. DPS, on the other hand, can be come and go. All DPS is needed, right? You always need people who can destroy the enemy, but a lot of people like to play DPS classes. It's just the way it is in most MMORPGs. But that's not saying they're not valuable, and that's also not saying that you won't get groups if you're DPS. You most definitely will. Also, what's kind of overlooked is you need to look at what the classes look like in a lot of their later and end game gear, and decide if that's something that you're actually going to want to look at every day, because I know a lot of people say, oh, well, looks don't matter, it's just about the class and what they can do. But it, for me anyway, is really hard to enjoy the class that I'm playing if I don't like the way the character looks. I mean, I honestly chose a Black Orc in the first place because I thought they looked the coolest, and it just ended up that being a tank kind of aligned with what I normally enjoy doing. So, on the other hand, I probably wouldn't enjoy playing, say, a Knight of the Blazing Sun because I don't like the way they look. Again, that's just personal preference. Another thing I see a lot of people asking is, what should I do to level up, or how should I level up, and what activity should I do? And I mean, obviously, again, this kind of depends on your play style. If you're more into PvE and you're not planning on doing a lot of RVR, open RVR, then you can level quite quickly just doing the PvE stuff, doing public quests, doing the world quests and those things, and you'll level just fine that way. If you are planning on doing any kind of endgame RVR, though, I would heavily suggest doing it from the start. Once you get to about level 5-ish and beyond, I'd say, definitely do your scenarios, queue up, play some scenarios, do some open world RVR, get used to the battlefield and the battle objectives and all that stuff. get out there and do it, because for one, it's a good learning experience, but two, you want to keep your renown rank as high as possible while you're leveling up. That's one mistake that I made, that I actually had to have people come into my stream and tell me, because I was almost level 20 and I had barely done any RVR at all, and I was going to be at a point where I was going to hit max level and still be renown rank like 10 or 20 at best. And that is not going to be good, because then I can't wear any of the good renown gear when I get leveled up, and I don't have any currency to spend, I don't have any of this stuff. So if you're planning on doing RVR and endgame, definitely start as soon as you can and get those scenarios in, get the open RVR in, and work on that renown rank. Everyone told me the goal was to be at least renown rank 50 when I hit level 40. So I'm guessing that's just a good baseline that everyone goes by, so I made sure that I hit renown rank 50 while I was still level 39, and I've been going strong ever since. Another question, should I join a guild? That's a good question, and it kind of depends on your play style. This game really is geared towards group play and being in war bands and large scale battles, so being in a guild definitely helps with that. I joined a really good guild that I've enjoyed being a part of when I was in the 20s, level 20s, and I've really liked it. I've gotten invited to a lot of war bands that way just by being a part of the guild, and it's been not only a lot of fun because it's way more coordinated and you have way better leadership that way, but it's also just a really good way to earn renown rank, because when you get in a really good guild war band, you can earn a lot of renown really fast. So I would definitely suggest it, but do look around. There's a lot of guilds out there, big and small. I honestly didn't really do a whole lot of research. I just kind of got lucky that one of my subscribers here on YouTube suggested this one. I looked into it, and it just ended up being a really good fit for me. But if you do find yourself as more of a solo player, that's completely fine too. There's plenty of small groups and public war bands that you can join and do stuff with. Even being part of a guild, I still do join plenty of public war bands for open RVR and things. So there's nothing wrong with being a solo player. If you try to play completely solo out on the battlefield, you're going to have a much harder time, because not a lot of people do that, and of course the game isn't really designed around 1 versus 1 battle, so you're going to have some imbalance issues when fighting certain classes and all that. So something to keep in mind. Small group play is still much better than solo play. And one big tip that I would definitely give everybody is get on the Return of Reckoning forums when it comes to looking up things for your classes, your armor, renown rank stuff, your jewelry sets, everything that you could want for your character. There is a ton of great information on the forums that will help you find the right gear for your character and how to acquire it, and good quests that you can go out and do. Good specializations for your class. So, if you're planning on being a tank, what the best way to go is if you're going to be sword and board, or if you're going to be two-hand. Same thing with the other classes. Obviously, with MMORPGs, people tend to find the best quote-unquote cookie-cutter specs that excel your class to the best that it can be. And of course, there's other, different people have different builds that are interesting to check out. So the forums are just a wealth of knowledge that I would suggest everyone checking out. Also, the website does have an armory where you can look up items within the game, which is super helpful when you get an item from a bag that you have no idea what it does, which I've gotten a few times, and before I selected my reward, I went into the armory, punched in what the name was, and it showed me, what I could buy for that turn in, and it helped me make the decision on what reward I wanted to take. So definitely make use of those resources. They're really great. And just a couple final pieces of advice. When you do join a war band, whether it's an open group war band or an organized one, just make sure that you watch for instruction from your war band leader. I have been in a lot of really great war bands where everybody's following the instructions of the leader, and we're all working together, and it just makes everything go so much smoother, and it can be the absolute outcome of a battle, whether you win or lose, depending on how good everyone is at being organized. So, make sure that if you're in an open war band, it's going to be hit or miss whether somebody's actually trying to lead the group or not. But if you do have an active leader who is trying, do your best to please follow instruction. Stay with your group leader, stay with your guard target. Do your best to be organized, because these battles can really go well if everybody works together with one goal in mind. But anyways, guys, I think that's about all I have to say. I've really enjoyed my time in Return of Reckoning. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. I just hit Renown rank 56 the other night. I'm about halfway through now, hoping that I can get to at least 57 this weekend, maybe 58. I'd really like to finish out my Vanquisher set, which I do have a couple pieces for already, and almost 200 medallions, so I'm doing pretty good on that. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm still going to be continuing to make Warhammer videos just because I do enjoy this game so very much. So if you are enjoying the videos, if you do play Return of Reckoning, I appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel if you like it, like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment, let me know, what you think, what you'd like to see, anything else that you have to say. I'd love to hear it. But I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you on the next video.